I am a patriot. I love our country. I am a strong and intelligent woman of color, and I have dedicated almost my entire adult life to protecting the safety, security, and the freedom of all Americans in this country. It was the attacks on 9/11.
Tulsi Gabbard's fiery clash with Joy Behar on The View left the room in stunned silence as the argument unfolded live on air. Joy didn't realize she was stepping into a storm from which she couldn't escape, and the tension was immediate and sharp. With her usual arrogance, Joy launched one of her repeated insults, but this time, she went too far. In front of millions, her strategy to corner Tulsi with baseless accusations and cheap jabs was swiftly dismantled. On national television, Tulsi, unwavering and laser-focused, met her glare with calm precision and fired back so effectively that the room froze. Joy's cheeks flushed as the power dynamic suddenly shifted and the audience gasped. Tulsi leaned forward with resolute purpose, making it clear she would not be ignored or silenced, not by anyone else at that table, and certainly not by Joy. The other hosts writhed in their seats, their discomfort written on their faces as the tension mounted. Joy fumbled her cue cards as if they could save her, but her trembling hands betrayed her collapsing composure. There was no doubt now Tulsi had seized control. She commanded the power, the momentum, and the stage.
Yes, we're getting a little bit far ahead of ourselves, but Franklin Graham finds you refreshing. He doesn't find me refreshing. Richard Spencer, the white nationalist leader, says he could vote for you.
Joy, this is why
you're on
here.
Tucker Carlson at least 10 times. Why don't you go on Chris Wallace's show?
This is why I'm here, because you and other people continue to spread these innuendos that have nothing to do with who I am.
Well, Hillary Clinton started it, and then you shot back at her, boy. You called her the queen of warmongers.
You doubled down, unfortunately, you doubled down on the baseless accusations that she made that strikes at the core of who I am. I'm a soldier. Because of the attacks on 9/11, I enlisted in the military to go after and defeat and destroy the evil that visited us on that day. I've served now for over 16 years, deployed twice to the Middle East during the height of the war, where every single day I saw firsthand the terribly high human cost.
Tulsi left. No space for Joy to breathe as she stared her down, her voice slicing through the air like a blade. You think you can smear me and I'll just sit here and smile for the cameras? Each word landed like a direct punch in her blistering counterattack. Then came the knockout blow. This is the most honest opponent I've had overseas. Joy's nerves showed as Tulsi took control with sharp, steady blows. You've built a career tearing down others, but today you picked the wrong person, Tulsi declared to gasps and applause. Cutting Joy off, she added, "Now you listen. You spread misinformation and attack people personally." The audience felt the weight of the moment, realizing this was more than a spat. Even Whoopi's attempt to spin it failed, leaving Joy completely exposed while Tulsi stood unshaken.
Before I ask you the first question, what's happening with the telescope and the stuff?
Oh gosh, the challenge is ongoing. The challenge is ongoing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
What is that?
So
Just explain.
they decided, it was decided that they were going to go on sacred land.
Oh yeah. I remember this.
And put up a telescope and do all this stuff. And the Hawaiians said, no, you're not going to do that. So it's been a fight. Tulsi's been at the forefront. Yeah. And I try to bring it up, you know,
I remember.
when I can, because it's, I think sacred land is sacred land.
Yeah.
You can't, you know, you can't
Anyway.
mess with it. So I have to ask you this instead. So we were just talking about EU Ambassador Sondland changing his testimony yesterday, that he had to be refreshed about quid pro quo, and you've been skeptical more than a lot of the Democrats about the impeachment inquiry. Were you surprised by what he did yesterday?
Well, look, the facts are important, and we'll get to that. I want to start with something that I think is also important about facts.
Defensive, Tulsi shot back without hesitation, her tone slicing through. The tension like a scalpel. "No, I'm correcting you, because you know you're wrong." The audience broke into scattered applause, some even rising to their feet. Joy's cheeks darkened as her co-hosts squirmed nervously, pretending nothing was unraveling. None dared intervene. Everyone in the room knew the standoff had been decided. Tulsi leaned back slightly calm, unyielding, and her words struck like steel. Despite inviting me here to speak, you've only insulted me. Do you think that's journalism? The audience laughed and applauded, fueling Tulsi further. Joy, trembling, riffled through her papers in a desperate attempt to regain footing. But Tulsi refused to let go of the spotlight. Her voice rang firm and uncompromising. This isn't just about disagreement. This is about you deliberately spreading misinformation to millions watching at home. The thunderclap of her words left the air heavy with silence. Joy stammered, "But that's just my opinion." Tulsi cut in sharply. "No, Joy, that's not an opinion. It's false." And there's a big difference. The audience roared with cheers, overwhelming Joy's weak defense. For the first time, Joy appeared truly cornered. Her bluster had evaporated, replaced by visible discomfort. Tulsi had dismantled her argument before an audience that would never forget.
Why I ran for Congress.
We actually have the clip of Hillary Clinton, just to put this in
Just to
context
put it
of
in
what we're
context.
talking about. Let's take a look at that.
I'm not making any predictions, but I think they've got their eye on somebody who's currently in the Democratic primary and are grooming her to be the third-party candidate. She's the favorite of the Russians. They have a bunch of, sites and bots and other ways of supporting her so far. And that's assuming Jill Stein will give it up, which she might not, because she's also a Russian asset.
So
Really? I mean, this is outrageous. This is outrageous and offensive on so many levels. I've served as a member of Congress now for almost 7 years, receiving high-level national security and intelligence briefings, serving on the Foreign Affairs Committee, the Armed Services Committee, the Homeland Security Committee, working to ensure the safety and security of the people of this country. This is why I'm running for president, to continue that commitment of service.
So are you surprised, though, that when people see bots and things and all the things that we've sort of been seeing heading your way, that people have these questions? Because she's not the only one. Hillary, I don't think, is the only one. So what she's saying is she feels they are grooming you. You're saying nobody's grooming me. I'm doing what I'm doing because I'm a soldier and a patriot.
It's offensive to me as a soldier, as an American, as a member of Congress, as a veteran, and frankly, as a woman, to be so demeaned in
But you
such
called
a way.
her the personification of rock.
So demeaned
She's a woman,
in such
too.
a way. Well, I'm pointing to the fact that she has continued this legacy of being the world's police around the world, that has waged wars costing the lives of thousands of my brothers and sisters in uniform. I'm speaking out against that and
What's
to
your evidence
change
to that?
to change.
Well, can I?
Are you
can I-
serious?
Let's hear it.
Are you serious?
Let's hear it.
I served in the war
Not
in
you,
Iraq.
her. You're saying that she's-
exactly.
she's a
I
warmonger.
served
How do
in
you
the
come
war
up with
in
that?
Iraq
Yeah.
that she championed. She championed a regime change war
Did you not
in
believe
Libya.
in that war?
I believe the lies that were told to us.
Well, so did she.
So it is indisputable. It is indisputable.
Joy clutched her cue cards so tightly it seemed she might tear them apart, as if they could hold her crumbling control together. She glanced at the cameras, trying to recover, but Tulsi's gaze never wavered, hostile, relentless, unflinching. "Tearing people down like me is how you've built your career," Tulsi said in a steady, firm voice. Tulsi dismantled Joy with precision. "Bullying doesn't work on someone who's seen combat," she declared, winning the crowd instantly. When Joy tried to downplay it, Tulsi fired back. "You're making baseless accusations because you can't win with facts." She reminded everyone of her service and experience, refusing to be belittled. The audience roared in support, leaving Joy humiliated and Tulsi firmly in control.
Say anything other than the fact that Hillary, let me just close this out, that Hillary Clinton throughout her career has led with a foreign policy of interventionism and being the world's police, going and toppling dictators in other countries that has caused such destruction and loss of life. I'm against that. I'm running for president to change that. Rather than actually debate me on the issues, she and others are resorting to these smear tactic campaigns, seeking to undermine me, smear my character, and sending a message to anyone who dissents. Toe the line, or you too will be smeared.
"We're not moving on until this is clear," Tulsi said, her voice firm and commanding, holding the entire studio in suspense. It is unacceptable to smile while spreading misinformation, Joy trembled, trying to interject with a weak, "Well, Tulsi, maybe if you," but Tulsi cut her off. "Joy, stop. Now is your moment. Now you listen," the audience gasped, then erupted in applause. Even the cameras seemed to freeze as the storm raged live, uncertain whether to cut to commercial. Tulsi pressed forward, calm yet cutting. "You accuse me of lies, then claim you're just asking questions. That's not journalism. That's manipulation." The audience gasped again before bursting into cheers. Joy's shoulders sagged, her arrogance slipping away as Tulsi leaned in closer, silencing any comeback. "Here's the reality," Tulsi declared. "You've called me names, you've questioned my integrity. But the truth is, I intimidate you because I won't play by your script." The crowd exploded. Joy's face hardened in frustration, but her silence spoke louder than words. Then came the final blow, one destined to be replayed for days. "Here's my suggestion, Joy, if you don't want to be called out, stop acting like such an idiot on national television." The room gasped, then roared. Joy's jaw dropped in shock before she slammed it shut, glancing desperately at the producers for rescue. None came. Tulsi leaned back, cool and in control, while Joy sat cornered, embarrassed, and utterly without a comeback.
I want to ask you something else. Kamala Harris said recently that her race and gender are, quote, the elephant in the room, and that many still question if America is ready for a woman, and specifically a woman of color, to be president. And you're also a woman of color.
Yeah.
Is that, you feel, been a problem for you? Or do you agree with her?
No, I think the American people are ready for a president that will put people ahead of politics, put people ahead of profits.
Then why is she saying that, you think?
You have to ask Kamala that. I can't speak to why she's saying that. But what I've seen in our travels across New Hampshire, we just came from New Hampshire yesterday, across the early states, we have some New Hampshire people here, is we are building a code to bring about the systemic change we need to see to take our government back from the rich and powerful who control it and make it so our government is truly of, by, and for the people.
You can spin this however you want. Tulsi's voice thundered across the studio, but everyone here knows what happened today. The audience erupted in deafening applause, making it clear they had chosen a side. Tulsi had defended more than just herself. She had dismantled Joy's entire platform. Joy's attempt to corner Tulsi backfired badly. Shaken and exposed, Joy stumbled through the break while Tulsi remained calm and composed. The clear victor. Social media erupted as the clash went viral. Joy forced a fake calm, but Tulsi's sharp rebuttal, "You made baseless accusations. I responded with the truth," sealed the win. The crowd roared, leaving Joy humiliated and Tulsi triumphant.
Because recently on your show here,
I was just going to get to that.
good, helping you out.
You want me to ask you the question?
Yeah,
No, look,
ask
some
the
of
question.
you
Ask the
have
question.
accused me of being a traitor to my country, a Russian asset, a Trojan horse, or a
we haven't accused you of-
useful idiot, I think was the
Well,
term that you
useful.
used. Which basically means that I'm naive or lack
That's a
intelligence
Russian
to
term.
know what's going
they
on.
use that.
I want to let your viewers know exactly who I am.
All right.
Set the record straight. I am a patriot. I love our country. I am a strong and intelligent woman of color, and I have dedicated almost my entire adult life to protecting the safety, security, and the freedom of all Americans in this country. It was the attacks on 9/11.
When Tulsi walked off that set, social media was already in chaos. Clips of her calling Joy out and demanding accountability went viral before the show even ended, sending hashtags skyrocketing. Commentators called Tulsi's clash one of the most brutal takedowns in daytime TV. Joy stayed silent, but that only fueled the viral clips. Tulsi later thanked supporters, saying standing up for what's right is never easy but always worth it. Her words spread widely, cementing her as fearless and unshakable. By the end, Tulsi hadn't just appeared on The View, she conquered it, leaving Joy humiliated and the nation watching a victory that couldn't be erased.